On August the 12th, 1949, a flash of crimson split the New Mexico night, and by dawn, Los Alamos Lab Number 8, never mapped yet present in payrolls and inventories, was erased from history. Official files vanished. Scientists disappeared. No crater, no explanation, just a burning question. How does an entire laboratory disappear without a trace? The answers begin with the paper trail no one was meant to find. Official Atomic Energy Commission maps from the late 1940s lay out Los Alamos like a numbered grid, labs 1 through 7, each with a clear location and function. But in the labyrinth of government paperwork, a different story flickers to life. Procurement ledgers, supply manifests, and transfer orders between 1946 and 1950 mention a Laboratory 8, never drawn on any public map, yet present in the daily machinery of the lab's operations. Shipments of specialized alloys, crates of equipment, even mundane items like office chairs and typewriters are logged as delivered to Lab 8. Payroll subledgers list staff assigned to metallurgical work, with the destination coded only as metallurgical studies. Requests for maintenance or additional security reference coordinates that shift from one document to another. Sometimes the site is pegged to Mesa 25, a plateau that today is little more than scrub and rock. In other records, Lab 8 is linked to a canyon site, whose boundaries no longer match any current topography. No blueprints survive, if they ever existed at all. Yet the paperwork is stubborn. Supply chains, badge authorizations, and personnel transfers all point to a facility that, by every public-facing record, should not exist. The contradiction is not just a clerical error. In the world of Los Alamos, what is left off the map can matter as much as what is shown. The deeper one reads into the ledgers, the more the question grows. How can a laboratory be everywhere in the paperwork but nowhere on the ground? At 2:43 in the morning on August 12 and 1949, a sudden flash tore through the darkness above the mesas northeast of Los Alamos. Residents jolted awake to a crimson pillar shooting skyward, bathing the canyon in an unnatural glow. For a few seconds it looked as if dawn had arrived hours too early, but the light pulsed and then vanished, leaving only a faint afterimage burned into the memory of anyone watching. Within minutes, military police mobilized, blocking every road and trail within a 6-mile radius. The order was absolute. No entry, no exceptions, even for senior lab staff. Across town, telephones rang with terse instructions: remain indoors, avoid windows, and await further notice. At the same moment, seismographs at the Los Alamos monitoring station traced a sharp jolt, registering a shockwave equivalent to a controlled detonation. Yet when dawn broke, there was no crater, no collapsed building, just the eerie absence of Laboratory 8, erased as if it had never stood there. Official statements filtered through the press, describing a minor electrical fire in a storage annex. But the people who saw the sky that night, and those who felt the ground tremble beneath their feet, knew something far stranger had happened. The crisis was real, even if the explanations were not. Missing file, File L. A-3022 is missing from the Atomic Energy Commission Incident Index for August 1949. The sequence runs File LA-3021, then it jumps to File LA-3023, with no explanation in any surviving log. Personnel rosters for Lab 8 from July 1949 were stamped for shredding and labelled as redundant, an unusual move for a site handling sensitive research. Payroll records, however, still list Dr. E. H. Carter, Dr. Julian Werner, and technician Leo Albright as active through August 10, 1949. After the fire, their names vanish from Los Alamos rolls, reappearing only once in transfer orders to a department called Project Skyline, a unit that does not appear anywhere else in Atomic Energy Commission records. Closed doors. Attempts to retrieve more information met refusal and silence. In 1954, journalist Harold Franks filed a Freedom of Information request for Lab 8 logs and staff lists. The reply cited potential nuclear proliferation and denied access in full. Decades later, in 1977, a data cleanup initiative swept through the Los Alamos archives. every remaining reference to Lab 8 disappeared from public indexes. For families left behind, the paper trail offered little comfort. Carter's wife received a package in 1951 containing a laboratory notebook with its edges blackened and a note in Carter's handwriting that read, "He finished his work. Do not ask about fire." Handwriting analysts later confirmed the handwriting matched Carter's. The official record may have been erased, but for those who searched, the silence was personal and absolute. The official story held that a magnesium fire consumed Laboratory 8, sparked by a mishandled storage drum. On paper, it was routine, a known hazard in metallurgy, burning hot and bright, but nothing out of the ordinary. Yet the details refuse to fit. Magnesium fires are unmistakable. They blaze with a white, eye-searing intensity. Witnesses that night described a pulsing crimson light, not a flare. Fire crews called in from Los Alamos logged their struggle with hotspots that refused to cool, not just on the surface, but deep underground. Their boots sank into patches of earth that hissed and steamed hours after the flames vanished. Later soil samples, quietly collected by metallurgists, revealed fused silicate layers, evidence of temperatures soaring beyond 2,000 degrees Celsius. That kind of heat does not come from a simple metal fire. It is the signature of plasma, not combustion. One internal memo, buried in a technical appendix years later, mentioned experimental isotopes exposed to plasma conditions, but offered no explanation for the event itself. The fire team's logs, the metallurgist's silent calculations, and the physical scars in the canyon soil all pointed to something far more exotic than a magnesium mishap. The surface explanation had burned away, leaving only the question of what happened beneath. Construction invoices from the late 1940s reference a basement beneath Laboratory 8, designated for cold storage and containment cells. No surviving blueprints detail its layout, but field orders from August 14, 1949, authorized the urgent delivery of ready-mixed concrete, enough to fill a vertical shaft. Dispatch memos label the job as shaft fill, per urgency bulletin, with no subsequent repairs or new construction recorded at the coordinates linked to Laboratory 8. Decades later, ground-penetrating radar surveys of the mesa revealed hollow voids, geometric in shape, about 40 meters below the surface. Engineers reviewing the data described the patterns as too regular for natural caves, yet no access points or ventilation shafts remained visible above ground. Soil chemists analyzing samples from the site in 1983 found traces of cesium-137 and tellurium-129, isotopes not consistent with any documented Los Alamos experiments from the period. Geiger counters registered only background levels, yet the land itself resisted recovery. Wildlife avoided the area for years, and plant regrowth lagged behind the surrounding canyon. The physical evidence hints at something concealed beneath the earth, a structure designed, then deliberately buried, leaving behind only chemical fingerprints and a persistent silence in the soil. In the 1950s, Lab 8 vanished from official records and was replaced by the Mesa D4 test range. New fences and signs warned of soil erosion studies, but excavation requests were blocked by Environmental Safety Exemption 17, an all-purpose shield against outside scrutiny. Security guards became the unlikely keepers of what little truth escaped. One guard, interviewed in 1980, described escorting a metallic humming object at dawn, its shape hidden under a tarp watched by military police. Another remembered vials that glowed without heat, gathered from the debris. Federal agents seized their taped interviews before they could be archived. Both men's families later reported sudden transfers and missing personal papers. Modern sensors have only sharpened the questions. Hikers near the restricted zone report static-filled radios and spinning compasses. In 2012, thermal imaging revealed heat pockets below ground, long after the fire. Ground-penetrating radar traced geometric voids, patterns that hint at reinforced tunnels, though no entrances remain. In 2019, a wildfire left behind a blue glow in satellite images, lingering in the earth after the flames. 4 theories now stand side by side. Some suspect a nuclear mishap, though radiation levels do not fit. Others propose an unstable alloy, a precursor to metallic glass prone to ignition. A third points to a failed energy weapon, plasma once trapped underground. The most radical claims Roswell debris with the fire as containment. Each theory finds support and contradiction in turn. The truth remains sealed beneath redaction and rumor. Lab 8's absence still shapes our understanding of secrecy in science. As restricted sites and classified experiments continue worldwide, the missing record is not just history, it is a warning. When silence covers evidence, the unknown becomes policy, and in the gaps, speculation finds fertile ground.